Here we go. In some years, or most of the years, these two parashot are connected. Matot and Massei, we read them in the same Shabbos. This week, actually, we only read Matos. Next week, we will read Massei. But the Sikha we're going to learn now is about the two parashot of Matos and Massei together. It says, these are the journeys of the Israelites when they left Egypt. The Jews had journeys, many journeys. There's a question that the commentators speak about. Why should the Torah call the leaving Egypt journeys? They had only one journey leaving Egypt. All the other journeys were actually moving forward to Israel, to the land of Israel, right? Did you get the question?
Well, doesn't it mean journeys from one station
plural,
to another station?
Plural, journeys.
Yeah, I know, but each time they move from one station to another station, that's a journey.
Yeah, but here, if you look at the verse, at the title of the parasha, it says these are the journeys of the Israelites when they left Egypt,
Yeah, that's what
leaving Egypt.
They went to multiple places, though.
They went to multiple places after they had left Egypt. This is where, when many times in Torah we look very carefully
When they were
at
Well,
the.
journeys
At,
could also be to different levels of consciousness.
Okay, listen. Okay. Let's take an example. I want to go to Tiberias. I spend the weekend.
Journeys to Mount Torah, 49 steps.
You get what he's saying. Do you get also what they're saying? The question that if you had to leave to, let's say, Tiberias, okay, you spent the last weekend in whereabout in the north, right? You went camping. You went to camp.
Oh, I went camping.
You went to Meron. Wonderful. You went to, please, guys, phones off, please. You went to Meron. Okay, so first you took Rabbi Bolton's car, probably, right?
We took a bus.
A bus. From Kfar Chabad
Here
to Meron. A direct bus? One bus?
Well, it was a traveling bus.
A?
A traveling bus. The ones that have the big compartments underneath. I don't know what they're called.
Close to the bus.
What, you rented a full bus?
Yes.
How many of you were there?
There was, I think, 10, 13.
A bus holds like 50, 60 people.
We have more than enough space. Unless it was just a smaller bus.
Okay, so did you have any stops on the way?
We stopped
At the bathroom?
no. We stopped by...
It's a long journey. The Meron is like two full
3
hours. 3 hours because you had a stop.
It took us 6 hours because we stopped.
It's a 2 hours drive. 2 hours ride. If it took you 6 hours, it means
a beach.
at the beach. Good. Okay, so
That's
one journey
and then
was.
from there to.
So you had one ride leaving Kfar Chabad.
Yeah.
On one ride, you leave it one time. You go through the traffic light, the exit. Kfar Chabad only one time. Then you can have 5, 6 more stops on the way. So
But that's not.
you have one journey.
That's not 5 or 6 separate journeys.
It is one long journey.
Yeah.
From here, exactly. So also here, living in Egypt, to go to the Holy Land, the land of Israel, this is one long journey with many stops on the way. Or if you want to look it in another way, it is made of many small journeys. But the question remains the same. Leaving Egypt is one journey. You go through the gates one time. You can stop in as many times as you want. It stops of it's
to get the Torah. That was one journey. That was
okay.
The first they were told, okay, we're gonna go to Israel. Then they went to. I'm probably gonna skip a lot of it.
Okay, so
they went
now
to Mount Sinai.
they went to Mount. Okay.
To get the Torah, that was one journey. That was one complete journey, and then from there to.
They had a couple of journeys too before they reached Mount Sinai.
Well, yeah.
The sum total of all the journeys they had, the Torah tells us, is 42 journeys.
So they took
42. And actually, you can listen. Just open the book and read. They elaborate each and every journey. So this is what we're asking. Why are we referring to this as so many journeys? That's basically the question. This is what we're going to address now.
With 42 stops.
Okay.
42.
Yeah. For example, you could say it this way. Exactly. That's the question. Why do we call it journeys? Plural. Many. 42 of them. Let's say. Okay. I know you got the answer, but we need to. Huh?
Their main objective was to go to Israel. Right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was.
That was the plan.
That was the
So
original plan.
no. Okay. Now let's see. Now, let's see how the Rebbe is dealing with this question. All right. Now, we know that Egypt, the word Egypt is Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is also, it's called a Meitzar. I'm not sure. Meitzar is a very narrow place. Okay, the news we have over in the Persian Gulf. There's the very a strait, and also in the Mediterranean Sea, opening to the ocean. There's also a very strait. Gibraltar.
Gibraltar?
Yeah. So
That's
narrow, very narrow.
That's near Spain. It's going to the Atlantic.
I think it's in the British
It's
hands.
It's all the way like south
It's-
of Spain.
Yeah, right on the
It's
straits.
Mediterranean going out to the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. Who owns this place?
I think I'm not sure.
The British.
It's a duty-free zone. Cigarettes are cheap.
Okay, that's a good tip. If anyone ever. Now, so this is the word Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is a very narrow place. Meitzar, that's the word. And living Mitzrayim means that you're living a place that was very narrow and stressful, and you go to a wide. You leave the prison and you go out to the free. Okay, no problem. Now, so now we even have to understand again, if we were in Egypt in a very narrow place, and then we came out to the wide place, to freedom. So again, what is this multiple journeys that we're talking about? And this is what the Rebbe is saying here. He's saying that we have levels. In redemption, in becoming free, there are levels. And every time you leave your previous prison, your previous narrow place, you get to the wide place, to the comfortable place, to freedom. But this place is again a prison comparing to your next redemption. Because the next redemption is a lot higher, it's a lot better. And every time you go higher and higher, your previous degree is like a prison to where you are right now. So 42 times they had to come out again and again and higher and higher. And every time they went higher, the previous level was like a Meitzar, Mitzrayim, narrow place, like a prison for them. Okay, as we said, where's Mr. Smith, by the way? He should come. I think I saw him. All right. Okay, the ultimate. What is the last? What is the final? What is the ultimate redemption? What is the final journey that there is? Do you know? Great, Mashiach. It is Mashiach. But in the words of the Parasha, in the words of the Torah,
Crossing over the Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. There's a place called Yarden Yericho, Jordan. in the east side of the valley of the river. Yarden Yerecho. This is a place that is referred to Mashiach because the word sounds alike. Yerecho. They say that Mashiach will use his sense of smell to determine, to judge. Yeah, that's way to judge people, know where they're coming from. So also the word Yerecho sounds a little bit like reach, like smell. So that's why they relate the last stop of the 42 journeys to Mashiach. And this is like the final ultimate redemption. Okay? And all the levels that were before are like prison, like Egypt, comparing to Mashiach. Okay, so that's why we had to have 42 journeys. You leave Egypt until you reach the promised land, the wide. And the first journey was a redemption, but then they had another redemption, and then a higher redemption, and a higher redemption. Okay, do we have this concept clear? Yeah, even when you're free, there's a bigger freedom for you to reach, and this is where you should go. Now, what is the lesson for us? We know that the Torah, one of the principles, and the idea I'm telling right now repeats itself maybe in every second sikha of the Rebbe, that the Torah is not a history book. It's not just there to tell us what happened. Okay, and it's also not here to entertain our intellectual habit to enjoy wisdom. Or we're not here to enjoy the wisdom of Torah. The Torah is a lesson. A lesson. It must be a lesson. If you learn Torah just for the wisdom and you miss the lesson, so you miss the point. The Rebbe, this is like the guideline of the Rebbe in all the sikhas. You open every random sikha, the Rebbe is talking about a parasha, and then he's asking, how is this relating to us? What are we going to learn from this? So here again, the Rebbe says the Torah is an internal thing in every generation. We know that every person, we say this in Pesach, in the Haggadah of Pesach, we say every person should look at himself like as though he had just left Egypt, right? We say it. And in Tanya, by the way, he's adding even more so. He's saying not every generation has to see himself as though he has just gone out of Egypt. Every day you should look at yourself as though you have just gone out of Egypt. By saying Kriyat Shema in the morning, you connect to Hashem in such a way that leaves all the life's restrictions, all the difficulties, everything behind, all your Egypts, all the mitzarim, narrow things. You leave them behind, you connect with Hashem, even being down here in the physical world. And this is an exodus. Connecting with Hashem, still being alive in the physical body, that is the biggest exodus that can be. So every morning, every day we have this exodus. Every morning. This is what the Tanya says. In chapter 47, I believe it's chapter 47. And also here, the Rebbe says, so if every generation we have to picture ourselves as though we have just gone out of Egypt. So what is the lesson for us? What is the lesson from the journeys of the Israelites in the deserts? What is the lesson to us? And this is what we have to understand. The Rebbe says, our lesson is even if you worked on yourself and you worked really, really, really hard, even beyond sense, like beyond intellect, beyond reason, you worked really, really, really hard beyond all your powers. And you left Egypt. There's a concept, by the way, a very interesting concept in Chassidut. Normally, when you say, "Okay, I serve Hashem and I have to leave Egypt," what does it mean? It means I have to leave the negative things. We have to leave the unwanted things. that are involved in our lives, we have to leave it behind. We have to stop doing them, or we have to prevent them, or we have to avoid them, and so forth. And we have to focus and have only positive things, only spiritual things in our lives. All the gashmiut things, all the physical things, enjoying food and physical things, we have to leave those things behind, stop enjoying them, and start living spiritual life. This is what normally we speak about when we talk about leaving Egypt. Okay, you need to serve Hashem, leave behind all the bad things, move forward to the good stuff, the spiritual stuff. But Chassidut never lets you off without sweating. So for Chassidut, it's not enough. It's not enough to say, okay, I stop eating chocolate every 2 hours. I stop, I don't know what, sleeping in, or I don't know what. It's not enough. For Chassidut demands always more and more and more to squeeze more oil out of the olive. There's something that is called the spiritual Egypt. Not only the physical Egypt, which is all what we just spoke about, enjoying this world. There's also the spiritual Egypt, which means your spiritual degree, it can be a fully holy degree. You're absolutely fine. You don't commit any transgressions, chas v'sholem, and you're actually doing really great. You learn a lot of Torah, doing mitzvahs. You go out and help other people also do their mitzvahs. You're a very serious servant of Hashem. That too can be considered as Egypt. But it's a spiritual Egypt because you're not involved in any wrongdoings. It's your spiritual Egypt. And the Rebbe says, we learn from the journeys of the Israelites. Even after they left Egypt, Egypt was behind. Even after, even after splitting the Red Sea and having all the Egyptians drown, even then they still had like a few dozens of journeys ahead of them. Even then, even if you leave your Egypt behind, still you have your present situation that will turn to be your new Egypt, which you should get out of immediately with improving your service of Hashem, with upgrading yourself. All right? Is that clear?
Yeah.
It's really quite clear. Maybe we can bring an example in Chassidut. In Mamorim, they explain that we all know that when you leave the body after 120 years, you leave the body, you have to go through a river, river of fire, Nahar Dinu. And the reason why you do it, it's like when you're trying to refine silver. Okay, let's say you have a raw solid piece of silver, and you want to refine it. You want to take the
burn off the impurities.
Exactly. You want it to have to be pure silver. So you just boil it. You really put it in this pot or something, and you boil it until it melts, and then it bubbles, and you have to really boil it well, and so all the non-silver dirt is mixed with the silver will separate. There's a name for this? Dross. Dross.
Comes out. Dross comes out.
Dross. Okay, good. And then only the pure silver remains. So this is, generally speaking, the job of the river of fire. Because when you enjoy this world, then in your godly soul, something mixes inside your godly soul. The physicality in the enjoyment of physical things is mixed because your godly soul is enclosed within the physical body. When the physical body enjoys physicality, it affects the godly soul that is enclosed within it. It mixes the physicality and basically this enjoyment with the godly soul. And when the soul leaves the body, you have to refine it again. You have to separate, or the word you just used.
No, dross is the schmutz that comes out of it.
You have to take that out. You have to take that out from the godly soul. That is the enjoyment of physical things.
I've heard it also referred to as you get born with a perfectly white suit, and when you get back to suit, it's maybe not so white. It's got to be cleaned.
Yeah, you have to bleach it, and you have to use stuff to really clean it. Exactly. So this is the point of river of fire. Now, once you've gone through the river of fire, now you're in heaven. Okay? So you're all good, right? You would say, now I'm all good.
Hopefully, if you got some mitzvahs under your belt.
Assuming.
All the Jews have mitzvahs like pomegranate seeds, right?
Even least worthy. Even least worthy, like seeds of a pomegranate.
Yeah. By the way, there's you know the story. There was a famous rabbi. Let's not mention his name. That he said he doesn't understand how could it be that the worst people of the Jews, they have mitzvahs as many as pomegranate seeds.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to him. How can the Torah? How can Gemara say it? It's like how outrageous. These are bad. The worst of the people. How can they have? How can you say the Torah states that they have mitzvahs as many as pomegranate seed?
How many mitzvahs are in a piece of matzah that you eat?
The Rebbe told him that he has quite of a different question. He says, if those people have mitzvahs as many as pomegranate seeds, how can you call them wicked? This is the Rebbe's approach to everything, to see the essence of Jews, always. So back to heaven and the river of fire. So now we passed the river of fire. We're in heaven. We are literally, and we're not exaggerating, pure, because all the schmutz, how you called it, the schmutz is gone. And yet, Chassidus explains that when you want to move on to a higher world, a higher level of paradise, of Garden of Eden, again you have to go through the same river. Now, how is this? Why is it necessary? All the bad stuff from the physical world is forgotten already. It's not there anymore. You're a pure soul. You enjoy heaven for years. A divine light, the pleasure of Hashem, the light of Hashem, everything is there, and you enjoy it for years. Why do you have to go through the river of fire again if you want to elevate to a higher world?
Because then you have to be clean. You have to be separated from all of that. I don't know how to word it properly.
I think you got it. Let me just put it in words. Okay, and correct me if I'm not understanding you. If you want to receive an incomparable, better and higher light, okay, you have to be an empty vessel. Okay, let's you see these copies we made here from. If you want to take this to the copy machine again and use the same papers, you can't, because it already has text on it. It has something on it. If you print again, it causes a mess.